Yes, everyone, welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boy Dave, and I hope you are all enjoying your Saturday. Today, I want to have a discussion about the size of the preseason tour squad. Is it too big? Is it a pointless exercise? And could it have a knock-on effect when the Premier League games return and the pressure is on? Also, I'll be giving my quick thoughts on what I want to see from tomorrow's preseason friendly against Leicester, and also my opinion on that stunt pulled by that journal from Build. Now, before we get into it, feel free to smash that like button. It is free, of course, and it's a great way to help support your boys on their journey. Now, let's get into it. Did we bring too many players on the pre-season tour? Now, I can actually understand it from the club's point of view and from Postecoglou's point of view. It sort of makes sense. From the club's point of view, last season under Antonio Conte before pre-season tour, he made it very clear who he didn't want to bring with him. And he basically, there was surplus to requirements. So when you got clubs that are interested, they were never, ever, ever going to part ways with cash, knowing that the manager doesn't want them here and wants them out at all costs. So it was a good opportunity for them to be able to come in, loan them, and bolster their options. Whereas this time round, they're on the tour, so that if they do come in looking, they don't know whether they're surplus to requirements or not. So they will end up having to part with cash for whatever player that they desire when they come in for them. So I can understand it from a club point of view. However, if this does not work this way around, then the club are going to have to start sort of agreeing to pay up contracts and releasing players. Now, from Ange Postecoglou's point of view, he walked in here, he said everyone was going to get a clean slate. So, he's given that clean slate to everybody. And if he didn't, it would end up alienating some players or form some unhappy players. Now, what we know is over the last few years, when you've got a few unhappy players, it ends up spreading right throughout the squad and it ends up costing the manager their job. But also, it breaks down that trust barrier immediately. So, Ange has to stick by his word, and he's done that here. So I can understand it from Ange Postecoglou's point of view and the club's point of view. Now, the next question is it a pointless exercise? Now, I'm a bit torn on this because for me, I think in the goalkeeper area and the defensive area, I think it's a complete pointless exercise. But in the midfield area and the forward area, I think, it's something that we might benefit from in the long run. And I'll get on to that why, but I want to start why I think it's absolutely pointless in the goalkeeper and the defence sort of areas of the pitch. So let's start with Vicario, for instance, the goalkeeper. Now, we have to remember he's coming into a new league, a new team with a new playing style that he's not used to at Empoli. So for me, I think someone like Vicario should be playing 90 minutes to be able to adapt his game, get used to the way we play, but also get used to this defence and their characteristics and how to play with them. Now, another thing is that I think he should be playing as well because he can get used to the set-piece routines with that defence, what crosses to come for, what crosses to trust these defenders to sort of clear, especially as set-pieces and crosses into our box is one of the areas on the pitch where we are most vulnerable. And for me, there's nothing better than sort of match practice to sort that sort of thing out, iron it out. Also, when replacing someone like Hugo, club captain who held down his spot for 11 years, there's huge pressure on Vicario's shoulders to deliver, but also the importance of that position. So it's important for me that we throw someone like Vicario on the deep end and get him used to it as quickly as possible. If there is a massive disconnect, between the goalkeeper and the backline or the goalkeeper and the rest of the team, like there was last season with Hugo Lloris, it's going to put us in huge trouble. So for me, I think it's an absolutely wasted experiment with someone like Austin, who played 45 minutes the other day, and someone like Alfie Whiteman, who's going to probably play 45 minutes tomorrow. They're taking up valuable game time and minutes that could be put best use to Vicario, getting him ready for such an important season ahead. Alfie Whiteman and Brandon Austin, they're never, ever going to play a meaningful game for this club. So it's completely pointless. And if Vicario does not end up replacing someone like Hugo Lloris, like we all expect him to do, we're in huge trouble. That's why it's so important to get this guy ready. Now, let's move on to sort of the fullback areas. Porro and Adoji, they're wing backs. They have to it's going to take them time to adjust to the sort of fullback position. They're completely different to someone like Reguilón Reguilon and Emerson, because they have to learn, they have to adapt to that position of fullback. It's completely different. It's defense sort of minded first. They have to get used to the positional sense of things, timing of the runs going forward, timings of the tackles, because everything they do in that position has a knock-on consequence if they get it wrong. That requires then a lot of time and effort put into them on the training pitch to get them ready. Is that happening right now? With such a large squad, are you capable of sort of putting that time, resources, and effort just on these guys alone with such a large squad? I'm not sure. So for me, I do think, that having such a large squad and players sort of filling up in them areas that we're not going to use, it is a pointless exercise, because we need to make sure that Porro and Edozie are fully ready to hit the ground running when the Premier League sort of resumes. So for me, again, another pointless exercise sort of, in that sort of area, because they naturally will have to give attention to other people's that they could be given to someone like Porro and Edozie really, really sort of working on their game. Also at centre-backs, completely wasted experiment. With defenders, who are not Premier League level, we know this. They've shown over a number of years that they're not good enough to play for Spurs. And they've also proven it over multiple of seasons under multiple managers. So a lot of them guys, they will not improve technically or defensively, and they'll undermine and sort of undo all the hard work everyone else does around them. They could not defend in a low block system where the whole team actually had to sacrifice to help them, let alone a high line under Ange, as proven against West Ham. 4 shots, 3 on goal, they win the game. It's the same problem as the last few years. It's a waste of time, resources, and coaching. Look, we hope a lot of them will turn good, but the reality is they're not going to. And for me, I think it's a huge mistake by the club not to already have the centre-backs in, getting used to the Ange system, the style of play, and also building that rapport and that relationship with Vicario. It's absolutely criminal, because that is something that we're going to absolutely rely on, and it's going to be pivotal for Ange ball to work. So absolutely criminal, and absolutely a waste of an experiment and a waste of time in that area. Now, let's go into midfield. I'm actually okay with it, right, with sort of bringing all the options, because even if you can turn one of Lo Celso or Ndombele, you've actually added an exciting sort of attacking option to your ranks. And look, we all know that them midfielders come at a huge premium, so it would be a huge sort of benefit if Tottenham could turn one of them around. However, if they do not, it's an absolute sort of wasted experiment, because it's time, it's minutes, and it's an opportunity that we could have used or given to someone like Skip or Sarr, who we think might be kept around, to be able to help develop them and get them ready for first-team action in the Premier League. So if we do end up selling Ndombele and Lo Celso, all of a sudden we're going into a Premier League season there where Skip and Sarr, it's sort of been a wasted opportunity for them in pre-season that we could have used to develop them and get them ready to hit the ground running. So, look, all in all, also in the forward areas, actually, quickly, I mean, look, for me, you've got Solomon, you've got Son, you've got Kulu, you've got Alfie Devine. Alfie Devine, huge talent. I agree with him being brought, one that we can develop, and one that potentially might end up being kept around if he gives a good account of himself over the rest of pre-season. So interesting there. So for me, not really a wasted experiment in them areas. But overall, when the real matches come around, that's when we'll only really know whether it's been a fruitful exercise or not. My guess is, with a lot of them, especially across the back line, other people stepping in and goals, it's absolutely pointless, because we all know it's at the minute, it's just pre-season. There's no real expectation. There's no pressure on them. No one really pressing them. But when it comes to the Premier League and there's stuff on the line, that's where you'll see the change of intensity. Can a lot of them defenders handle it if they end up being kept around? No, I do not think so. And let's be honest, they're just going to buckle under the pressure. We already know this. There's plenty of people around the club that know this. Daniel Levy, Ryan Mason, for instance, and maybe should have alerted Ange to this a lot sooner. And maybe, but again, I'd also argue that the club have a bit of a, actually, the club should take the majority of the blame for this, because for me, they haven't done enough business to force Ange Postecoglou to be able to pick a certain squad to go on pre-season, because they didn't bring in any centre-backs. So as it stands, he has no option but to bring them. But for me, you know, if we're led to believe that we were getting into centre-backs that we were promised last January, then it's complete pointless exercise and it should have been brought in, because we know a lot of these guys are going to end up buckling under the pressure anyway. And by then, it's too late to make a decision to cut them out of the squad, because already your job's under pressure and you might end up paying the price for it. So, you know, we are playing a really, really risky game with what we're doing. And for me, I just think in certain areas, it's a waste of effort, resources, you know, and time that's being invested into players that, you know, could end up being shipped on anyway. So me, I'm a bit confused on it all. Please, everybody, let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. That'd be absolutely awesome. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think it is a point? Do you think there is, you know, do you think it is a pointless exercise, or do you think there's merit to this exercise? Please let me know in the comments below. Now, let's get on to tomorrow's game against Leicester. Look, it's going to be another decent test of Ange Ball to see if we can replicate it in back-to-back games. Now, we absolutely dominated the last game, 32 shots on goal. You know, I think it was over 70% possession. But this time around, I want to see us, you know, there's no, and Ange sort of highlighted this before, there's no point in having possession for possession's sake. You know, it's, if you're going to have possession, you want to sort of do something with it. So I do want to see maybe that a bit more of a clinical nature with our chances tomorrow and get some more people on the score sheet. Also, Maddison versus Winks. This is a perfect opportunity for James Maddison and Tottenham to show how much they've really upgraded on Winks in that midfield. Also, with Tanganga, I understand that the experiment didn't really work out with him playing his left-sided centre-back. He didn't trust his left foot. A lot of the ball going down that side was sort of slow. And when Maddison was dropping into the ball, Tanganga didn't trust his left foot to be able to pass it into him. So ultimately, a lot of the times he turned back onto his right foot. So for me, this time around, I'd like to see Tanganga on the right with Romero on the left, because I believe someone like Romero, with how good and comfortable he is on the ball, I think he'd be okay to play on the left. Whereas Tanganga, I think he will have to play on the right. But again, you know, I'd rather see a partnership with Tanganga and Romero than Dyer step in or Sanchez step in, who, you know, cost us another treat, you know, a win the other day, which is something that he seems to continue on. But also Ben Davies, who I don't think is good enough either. So that's what I would like to see happen at centre-back. Now, when we go into midfield, I see a lot of sort of mixed feelings over Skip's performance last week. A lot of people saying, look, got in the box, done a lot of running around. But my opinion is, in a preseason game, when you're under no pressure and there's not really tackles flying in, it's a chance for you to show how good you are on the ball and how much you can get involved in the build-up play. And someone like Ollie Skip, that's where he's been questioned most, especially off the back end of last season, where a throw-in came in, he got his pocket picked because he couldn't get the ball under control and pass it. You know, and we ended up conceding. But also, there was a lot of games there where, sorry about that, he was found wanting, certainly in possession. So for me, you know, I would actually take him out of the team. I'd like to see maybe someone like Papa Matasar, you know, get an opportunity in there, who, for me, I think really took his minutes there the last day when he came on in the second half. I thought he was outstanding. Or even someone like Ndombele, right? You know, I'm sick of being in the unknown with the guy. I want to see where he's at. Is he committed? Is he not? Has his fitness levels improved? Have they not? So I'd even be okay with him coming in there. But also, with Lo Celso having a good game there the other day, there could be an opportunity for him to step in there. So for me, I think you've got three players fighting over that one midfield spot. And I do think the first half teams that Ange put out against West Ham, and potentially it could be the same tomorrow, is sort of, you know, the 11 or in and around the 11 that he's looking at. Now, also, some will probably come back in for Manor Solomon. So for me, I think it'll be a good test or a good sort of visual to see where Son is at, especially after a disappointing campaign last year. Also, Kulu, for me, if he does start on the right, which I think he will, because we have a very, you know, we have a lack of right wingers, especially that went on preseason tour. For me, I want to see more ability in that final third. I want to see more sort of, you know, composure. I want to see him contribute maybe with an assist or a goal, just to sort of ease me that he is sort of getting back to the levels that we seen when we first signed him. So that's what I want to see from the Leicester game tomorrow. Everybody else, please put in the comments below what your thoughts are and what you would like to see tomorrow, judging on, you know, that first half team that we think we might see. Now, lastly, onto that stunt pulled by that Bayern reporter from Bild. And I'm going to bring up his picture. I'm going to name and shame this guy so absolutely everybody can see what this guy is all about. Now, just give me 1 second. So, of course, Postecoglou, he addressed the media ahead of Spurs' friendly match tomorrow against Leicester in Bangkok, Thailand. And at the press conference, the German reporter from Bild, Max Schrader, turned up with a Bayern Munich jersey with Harry Kane 9 written on it. Now, of course, Ange Postecoglou was not pleased with the gesture as he slammed the reporter while the press conference was still on, even though the press officer was trying to move it on. He said, "Did you get a good laugh there? You've come a long way for that. Thank you." Now, personally, if I was Postecoglou, I would have just replied sort of with, you know, with a hairline like that. You really don't want to be bringing that sort of attention on yourself. You know, also I would sort of turn around and say, "Man, you're a bit of a mug, to be honest with you, because the money you spent on that Kane Bayern Munich jersey, you could be using to fly to Turkey and get that hairline sorted out." And in fact, you know, to be honest with you, he shouldn't have been in the press conference anyway because he failed the minimum requirements of the hairline to be able to enter. But it's just another publicity stunt by Bayern. And if I were Tottenham at this point, if we're getting serious now, I'd actually just refuse to sell. I know Bayern Munich didn't pay this guy to come over and do this, but the matter is, Bild, Bayern Munich have had a long relationship, you know, and look, that's what I wouldn't be surprised if they're not bothered by this purely because it brings more attention on the transfer, brings more scrutiny on Bayern Munich, Kane, and Tottenham Hotspur. But if I was Tottenham, I'd absolutely flat out refuse to sell now. I'd do what reports were suggesting that Levy wants to do with Bayern and make them bleed. For me, it's absolutely disgusting how all of this is absolutely unfolding. If I was Harry Kane, I'd actually reconsider my stance with Bayern Munich. Sort of like, okay, you know, from the optics, it looks like Bayern Munich are gung-ho to get him. But if I was Harry Kane, I'd question the methods, because if they were really that serious about getting him, they would conduct themselves in an ordinary manner, in a business fashion, and just swoop in to get the deal done in a class way and move on. They have not done that. They're playing silly buggers so that Daniel Levy will sort of reduce the price. However, if Sadio Mane does decide to make that move to Saudi Arabia with that team that's interested, that then might just give them that extra funds they need to push them over that 100 million barrier and really test Spurs. So for me, it'd be very interesting to see what sort of unfolds with Sadio Mane, because from my understanding is he doesn't really want to move from Bayern Munich. He wants to prove his worth. But from, I think, Bayern Munich's side, they want him gone. I think the reason why they want him gone is to take that cash, because with Saudi, you're probably going to get a lot of it up front, and then they'll probably put that up front for Harry Kane, because not only do they have to offer over 100 million, but the payment terms and the structure has to be right, and I've no doubt Spurs will want at least a good chunk of it up front. So there will be testing times ahead on the Kane situation, but you know what? Just because Bayern Munich are pissing about, I hope Oktoberfest is a complete washout and it doesn't go ahead this year. Everybody, please let me know your thoughts in the comment. Please smash the like button. It greatly helps us out. Feel free to share the stream out. Also, feel free to smash that subscribe button. We'll see you back here for the preseason game tomorrow, bright and early. Go and enjoy your Saturday. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty Ange, we trust.